FEMA's response to tens of thousands of storm victims such as Wilson will be closely watched as the agency continues to repair an image badly damaged more than a decade ago in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. The agency was accused of being slow to respond to victims in New Orleans and bungling delivery of basic services such as housing. Congressional reforms followed and further changes were made after Superstorm Sandy in 2012. Some say the improvement is noticeable. "We found that FEMA has made a ton of progress since Katrina and Sandy," said Chris Curry, Director of Emergency Management and National Preparedness Issues at the Government Accountability Office, an independent, nonpartisan government watchdog agency. "If you look back at Katrina, FEMA's role was much more reactionary. In this case, Harvey, they have been able to pre-deploy assets before the full disaster strikes. FEMA makes emergency grants available as soon as a hurricane or other catastrophe is declared a disaster by the U.S. President. The agency can offer as much as $30,000 per household, but most payments are much smaller. The average payout to Hurricane Katrina victims was $7,114. For Sandy it was $8,016. Those sums might seem modest for victims who have lost everything. But the aid is intended to be temporary," said Raphael Lemaitre, former Public Affairs Director for FEMA until January 2017. "The grants are not designed to make lives whole again. It's a life vest. It is designed to help the most vulnerable get back on their feet," he said. Oversight has also been toughened to combat abuses, according to Curry of the GAO. He said around 20% of Katrina payouts were lost to fraud and abuse, a rate that was lowered to the 2% to 6% range with Sandy. Some Harvey victims say this heightened scrutiny is making their shattered lives even more difficult. At the Houston Convention Center shelter, a 59-year-old man who would only give his first name, Tyrone, said FEMA has denied him assistance because he does not own the flooded home where he lives. It is still in the name of his mother, who died 18 months ago. Tyrone said he could not retitle it in his name because his mother left the house to all 6 of her children. He can't see any other solution than to live in a flood-damaged dwelling. "I'm in some kind of bind," he said. "I don't think it's fair." FEMA also offers victims low-interest loans from the Small Business Administration for up to $250,000 to repair or rebuild dwellings and $100,000 for property damage. Curry said Harvey will be the first major trial for changes made to quicken response times. More challenges for the agency are ahead. Paul Rosenzweig, former Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, said a critical juncture will be 4 or so weeks from now when the focus turns from short-term aid to long-term assistance. "In the next 4 weeks there are people who are going to be homeless forever. The real thing that went wrong in Katrina was not being well prepared for that," he said. "Harvey is going to create a bigger problem. There will be more people dislocated for longer periods of time and it cannot become a long-term federal responsibility."